For the first time, we're opening up the mailbag. Let's do this. Question 1. Is Geno Smith the best quarterback in the country after he's led West Virginia to an undefeated record thus far? Well, let's put it like this. Geno Smith has done a great job for West Virginia. He's been unbelievable. He's definitely been the best quarterback in the country. He's dual threat, been able to run the football. He's been able to throw the football very well for West Virginia. Dana Holmgren has done a great job with this West Virginia football team. But my question is, who has West Virginia really played at this point in the season? They've still got games against Texas. They still got to go through their Big 12 schedule. There's a lot left for West Virginia to do. I'm not sold yet on this program. I'm not sold yet on this team. They've struggled defensively. That's one thing that we know West Virginia has not done very well in the past few seasons is play defense. That struggle alone, okay, is going to rear its head once they get in the Big 12 schedule. They still got to play Oklahoma State. They still got to play Oklahoma. They've got Texas left on their schedule, who's playing very well at this point. But as of right now, with West Virginia being undefeated, Geno Smith has done a great job. And the Mountaineers are going to have a tough test this week when they go play when they go play Texas. But as of thus far, Geno Smith and the West Virginia Mountaineers are playing fantastic. We'll see how far that goes and how well they can play. 2. All signs point to the Red Sox firing Bobby Valentine. Was he the right choice to begin with? No. I never liked this hire to begin with. Look, Bobby Valentine is not one of my favorite managers. He's not one of my favorite people. I think he's overrated. I also think he's an attention seeker, and he's really much an attention whore, and I can't stand for that at all. I think he came into this situation in Boston and tried to really turn over the apple cart. He really tried to flip it over. I understand where Boston was coming from in the hiring. I do. I totally get it. They really wanted to switch from Terry Francona, a guy who's very much a player's manager. There was some stuff that leaked out that the team struggled, but Francona had 2 World Series rings in his tenure at Boston. If you tell me that Red Sox fans would not have taken that when he was originally hired, I'd call you guys liars. I think Francona did an excellent job, and I think that's what Boston got away from. They wanted to separate themselves so far from what they had leaked out, whether it had been the chicken and the beer situation, that they totally forgot how much Francona had meant to that organization, how much he meant to that franchise. And by hiring Bobby V, you're hiring a guy, or you hired a guy who wants to put his own fingerprint in, who wanted to do it his way or the highway, and that's been his MO since he's been in Major League Baseball, since he's been around the block. This is a guy who's not afraid to ruffle feathers, and he did that all season long. I didn't like the hire to begin with. I don't like him as a manager in particular. I think it's a guy who rubs players the wrong way. It's either his way or the highway, and that wasn't going to work in Boston, who was a team that had a lot of success. And now you've got him coming out blaming his coaching staff that he was undermined. I can't stand for that. This was your team. You had ample opportunities to change your staff, to make alterations that you wanted. The organization gave you opportunities to do that. You chose not to. So Bobby V was a bad hire to begin with. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. And I think Boston's making the right decision and moving in a different direction. Rumor has it they're going to go after maybe John Farrell, the Toronto Blue Jays guy. He'd be a good pick. He'd be a good hire. He's a former Red Sox guy. He knows the organization. He knows some of the players there. He didn't have as much success in Toronto, but he didn't really have the pieces in the team to do so. So if they go in that direction, then I think that'd be a good hire. Other names you could look at, maybe DeMarlo Hale, third base coach for the Orioles. He's another guy with Boston ties. Maybe they go in a different direction. Jason Varitek, a former Red Sox player, be along that Mike Matheny route, who's done such a great job with the St. Louis Cardinals. You go with a guy who, not real managerial experience, but a guy who knows the system, knows the players, has been around the block. You can go somewhere along that line. So the Red Sox have some choices to make, but the firing, or the to-be firing of Bobby Valentine, I think is the right move for the organization moving forward. Really has been, it's a push, between the Baltimore Orioles and the Oakland A's. I mean, I think both teams have had fantastic seasons, and both managers, Bob Melvin and Buck Showalter, deserve a lot of credit, and they both should, to be honest, I think they should split the the AL Manager of the Year award. There's no way you can pick either one. If you pick one, you got to pick the other, because both teams were expected to win, no more than 65 games this year. Baltimore playing in the toughest division in baseball, the AL East. I know people want to say it's a little bit of a down year. I don't agree with that. I think it's just a turnover in hierarchy. I think, the Yankees, they won 90-plus games. You got the Orioles, they won 90-plus games. The Rays, they're battling, with a chance to get into the playoffs. Toronto was competitive. Boston just didn't have their season. The A's in the West, you had the Angels who struggled for most of the season and they caught fire here down the end. You got the Texas Rangers who now caught on a little bit of a slide where Oakland's going to get a chance to catch them. So both teams played in very tough divisions. They played with a lot of young players. Oakland deserves a lot of credit. Their entire starting staff was pretty much rookies outside of Brandon McCarthy who was hurt for most of the season. And their lineup was mixed up of guys who, no household names. I mean, Yoenis Cespedes, they brought him in from Cuba. The guy has been great, especially in the second half of the season. Josh Reddick, they got from the Red Sox. He's been phenomenal, and he's turned into a power hitting threat and a phenomenal right fielder. Coco Chris has solidified center field, and then they've got guys who've been rotated in and out. Seth Smith, he can rotate in left and DH, and Johnny Gomes, he's been your DH rotational guy, and Carter and Morris. The trade for Steven Drew. The A's did a phenomenal job, and Baltimore deserves a lot of credit too. I mean, they went out and when Player went down and Nolan Reimold, they went out. They brought in Nate McLouth, who solidified left field. They got him off the scrap heap. Pittsburgh didn't want him. He was down in AAA. He comes up. He's played great. Jason Hamill, they acquired him in the offseason. For Jeremy Guthrie, he's been a frontline starter for them and a plus. Wei-Yin Chen, they bring from Japan. He's been great. No one expected him to pitch the way he has, and he's been phenomenal. You can go down the list. Adam Jones is having a Gold Glove MVP caliber season. Too bad he's playing. It's in a season where Miguel Cabrera and Mike Trout are having historical years. Matt Wieters has turned into, if not the best catcher in baseball, one of the best, behind maybe Yadier, Buster Posey's in that list, but he's right up there. So the Orioles and the A's, it's a push on who's the biggest surprise. They both played phenomenal baseball this year. Both teams I expect to make some noise if they get in the playoffs. I believe they both will. They're not going to be easy outs. The matchup-wise can be a little tough, depending on who they get. But still, these are phenomenal baseball teams. They're having a phenomenal